The way I like to think about money is this. Money is a form of energy, a form of leverage that you can push in a particular direction to help you achieve a goal. But the way that I see many people use their disposable income today actually sends them in the opposite direction of their goals. And people are wasting money on things that don't enhance their lives. In fact, they actively make their lives worse. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you what some of those things are, some ways that you might be wasting your money, and offer a better alternative and a better place to invest that money to grow yourself and your future. Hello, my name is James, and I am on a mission to create a generation of gentlemen. So, why is it so important to have money as a young man? Contradictory to the popular ideas out there, I don't believe that as a young man your focus should be on buying a home or saving up in your 401k. The purpose of money as a young man is that it enables you to take risks and to make bold steps. I'll give you an example from my personal life. From the ages of 18 to 22, I saved up around £24,000, which is about $30,000. That $30,000 enabled me to move to America, to get my own apartment, to buy my first car, cash, to set up my life in a new country. And within just a few months, the amount of money that I was making in the US was more than double what I was making in the UK. So that investment in myself of $30,000 paid off in less than a year. For you, you might need this sum of money to start a business, to start a side project, or to do something like travel around the world for 6 months or a year. The point here is that we are intentional with our money. We don't let it slip through our fingers, not knowing where our paycheck went at the end of the month. We have to be very deliberate about how we spend it. And that involves not wasting it on things that don't bring us fulfillment. So now let's begin with the first thing that men are wasting their money on. Let's begin with takeout and unhealthy food. I mentioned that my philosophy about money is this: you use money to enact positive change in your life. Yet I always see around my apartment building pizza boxes, delivery guys in the elevator. When I go to the supermarket at Target, I see the conveyor belt lined up with chocolates and confectionery. And I just wonder, why are you spending your hard-earned money on something that's going to make you fat and unhealthy and unhappy? Takeout really is a big one because people go for the convenience, they go for the comfort of it. But takeout for the most part is expensive. It costs almost as much as going to a restaurant and having a sit-down meal. The food doesn't actually come in its prime condition because it's been on the back of somebody's bicycle or in somebody's car for 20 minutes. And typically the foods that are available through takeout are just unhealthy, especially compared to something that you've cooked yourself. And interestingly, men spend more than women on average on takeout. I think it's because typically we are a little bit less domesticated in the kitchen, and some men are a little less organized when it comes to meal prep, grocery shopping, etc. Now there are some advantages to takeout, and one of them is of course that it saves you time. But I think there is a better solution to takeout if you're still looking to eat well without spending hours in the kitchen. And that solution comes from today's video sponsor, Factor. Factor is a chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meal delivery service that brings these meals right to your door. You heat them up in 2 minutes and they are ready to eat, which means more time for you and the things that are important to you. So Factor takes the stress out of meal planning, grocery shopping, and sets you up for success. You don't have to worry about doing any prep work, tiring yourself out, cooking and then cleaning up. Instead, you get these chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals to your door. And each week there are over 35 meals to choose from, including options like keto, calorie smart, and my personal choice, protein plus. When I was working full-time and doing YouTube as a side hustle, I was a paying customer of Factor, and their service really helped me save time while still enjoying top quality food. Factor food is so much more tasty than those ready meals you'll get at the supermarket, and it's cheaper and even more efficient than Takeout. Gentlemen, I want you to try Factor for yourselves, and that's why I have a special offer for you. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use the code 50GENTZ to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50GENTZ at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. A huge problem in the way that men spend their money is that men waste a lot of their money on their vices. As I said, money is your form of leverage. Use it to achieve your goals, not work against them. And for that reason, I think it's a terrible waste of money for a young man to be spending on OnlyFans, on vape pens, on sports betting. All of these negative habits that not only cost you greatly in life, but now they're also costing you financially. And you are literally spending money to sabotage your future self. I'm not saying you can't do some of these things in moderation. Maybe you enjoy betting on a game from time to time. But until you have so much disposable income that it's just a drop in the ocean, I would really advise against this. Because even if it's like a $5 or a $10 bet, even if it's a $10 OnlyFans subscription, you can definitely use that money to invest yourself. That $10 you can use to buy a book. That $10 you can put towards a course or a seminar. And you can certainly use that time that you're spending on that activity in a more productive way. Remember that both your time and your money are finite resources. What you choose to do with them means that you are choosing not to do something else. So don't delude yourself into thinking, oh, it's just a small amount. It doesn't matter if I sign up for this girl's OnlyFans. It doesn't matter if I buy a vape pen. No, it does matter, because in doing those things, you're choosing not to do other, much more healthy and productive behaviors. Another area in which men are wasting so much of their disposable income is on takeout coffees from Starbucks and other chains. When I worked in an office, it always amazed me that the office provided free coffee at a machine, yet people would always walk in every single morning with a $6 Starbucks in their hands. And this would happen every day. And I knew how much these guys were making, and their Starbucks bill by the end of the month was probably a decent percentage of their income. The reason that people spend so much money on takeout coffee, it's not because of the flavor necessarily. It's certainly not because of the caffeine. It's more that it's a habit and a reflex. And people make it part of their daily routine to go into Starbucks, to stand in the line to get their coffee, to walk into the office holding it. But to me, that's never seemed like a very appealing part of a daily routine. To stand in line in a coffee shop in the morning, or to sit in a drive-thru to get your Starbucks in the morning, where is the joy in that? I've spent a lot of time in Spain, France, Italy, and I certainly understand the pleasure that comes with sitting outside the coffee shop, having your cappuccino or your espresso, but these literally cost €1 or €2. And instead, in the US, we're going around spending $6 or $7 on a highly caffeinated, highly syrupy, iced mocha, froca, bucca bullshit drink every single day. So if you are a coffee person, start making it at home and take an interest in how to make a great espresso. You can get a machine that will make a half-decent espresso for literally less than $200. That's less than a month of Starbucks every day. It's been said before that people work jobs they hate to buy things that they don't care about, to impress people they don't like. And never has that been more true than with cars, and particularly financing cars or leasing cars. Now, I really enjoy cars. I love the pleasurable experience of driving a high-performance car. So I understand this one to an extent. But the average car payment in the US is $737 for a new car, or $520 for a used car. And you look out at the average car on the road and think that people are paying $700 for a Kia. People are paying $500 to drive a Hyundai. Does that really bring you $500 of joy? In my mind, there really isn't that much difference in terms of aesthetics, driving, pleasure, even status out in the world between a 2011 Toyota Corolla and a 2024 Toyota Corolla. So why people are spending so much money on new or near new cars these days really doesn't make sense to me. And if you do enjoy the act of driving, you enjoy the spirit of driving, you can get cars that are very pleasurable to drive for a relatively low price. And these days I don't even have a car because I live in downtown Chicago. Everywhere that I would want to drive, I would basically have to valet the car at the restaurant, which is a complete pain in the ass. Then I would have to pay $500 a month just to park it in my apartment complex. Then you've got all of the taxes, the payment, the insurance on top of that. I'd end up paying nearly $1,000, if not more, for a pretty average, crappy car, which I would get basically no pleasure out of. And instead, I walk almost everywhere and spend around $150 a month on Uber. Here's something men are wasting a lot of money on. It's what I have right here. This is the new iPhone. The iPhone 16 Pro Max costs $1,600. And I thought that I should get a phone like this because I'm a content creator and I film everything actually on my iPhone. This is being filmed on an iPhone 13 right now. But I got this phone and I have to say, it's literally no better than my iPhone 13. And yeah, I could write this off as a business expense and justify it in some way, but does it bring me any more pleasure than my iPhone 13? No. And if I feel that way as somebody who literally films their entire life and makes a living on their phone, then for the average person, upgrading to the new iPhone every year is a complete waste of money. Coming out with a new version of a smartphone, it's kind of a new thing that Apple invented, and there used to be a fairly substantial difference between the iPhone 1 to 2, the iPhone 3 to 4, etc. But now they literally just force it every single year, and there's really no benefit to keeping up and buying the new model. So even if you really enjoy technology, even if you are somebody who's into videography or photography like I am, genuinely, is it worth $1,600? I can think of a lot of ways I'll have more fun with that money than this, and I'm actually gonna take this back and just get a refund. And the final way that young men are wasting money is perhaps the most moronic and insane waste of money that I've ever seen, and it's so cringe whenever I see people do this. I'm talking about bottle service. If you don't know, bottle service is basically where you go to a nightclub, they give you a little seating area, and you spend $1,000 for a bottle of Grey Goose that would literally cost you $40 at a liquor store. And then these girls in skimpy outfits bring the bottle to you, and there are what's it called? Sparkles going off and lights and whistles, and all of the guys at the table go like, yeah, we just spent $1,000 on some vodka, yeah. And then they bring the bottle out and they try and get girls to come and sit at the table, but the girls are already only there to get a free drink. They actually think all these guys are a bunch of creeps. So bottle service is probably the most moronic waste of money I've ever seen. People spend literally like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on a night out in a nightclub on alcohol. It's so stupid. Maybe I'm an old soul, but genuinely, I would rather get my friends together, go out for a good meal, go out for some steaks. If we're gonna ball out, that's what we'll do. Probably spend no more than $200 each in a single night. Spending money on bottle service, I think genuinely what most people are doing is they're paying for validation, they're paying for attention, they pay for the experience of having the women come round to their table, they pay for the experience of being seen as somewhat VIP in the club. Not really a big fan of nightclubs personally anyway, but in particular, bottle service is the most stupid way you can spend your money as a young man. Well, gentlemen, I would love to hear from you in the comments what you think is the worst thing that a young man can spend his money on. Maybe it's something that I've already mentioned that you would like to elaborate on, or perhaps you have a completely different idea altogether. Either way, I am all ears, so please let me know down in the comments. Remember, if you are looking to stop wasting money on takeout and get some chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered to your door, I want you to hit the link down below where you are going to get 50% off your first Factor box. I'm sure you will enjoy that one. Gentlemen, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.